our basically we're making our documentary is based on civil rights leaders of back then and civil rights leaders of today.
Okay.
Or people who are trying to make a change today. And so we are going to interview people mostly in DC from who were part of the movement back then. But since you are clearly contributing in a major way to what you do now to civil rights today, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. Hopefully this is editable. Where should I look? At you?
You can look.
Okay. So I am a teaching and learning specialist with the Teaching Tolerance Project of the Southern Poverty Law Center. We are the mission of this of Teaching Tolerance is to reduce prejudice, improve intergroup relations, and support equitable school environments for our nation's youth. So what I do is I develop curriculum that will go into schools around the country, and they are completely free resources that teachers can use to help support anti-racist, anti-bias education in schools throughout the country.
Okay, so what made you decide that you wanted to do this? Like, what brought you to this job?
What brought me to this job? I've always had a very strong passion to combat unfairness, and that stems from when I was a young child. I've had jobs, aside from being a teacher, I worked at another nonprofit that was located in the metropolitan St. Louis area. And that led me to a master's in education and then a PhD in education. And part of my dissertation research was on the dehumanization of African American students in schools and shifting the paradigm for African American students. And so I graduated with a PhD, and I was trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. I just so happened to come across a job listing from the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I had known about the Southern Poverty Law Center for years, at least a decade or more, and I had used those resources in my teaching. So I applied for the job, and I got it. And so it merges two of the things that are important for me, which is education and social justice.
Okay, and for the last question, who is one non-mainstream civil rights leader who you think that you admire most or stands out to you?
Okay, Dorothy Height. Dorothy Height was one of the architects of the civil rights movement, and a lot of the action that occurred that supported Martin Luther King, the March on Washington, these were all contacts and connections that Dorothy Height had. She doesn't get nearly the recognition that she should, I think, because oftentimes the civil rights movement is seen as a male-led movement, and women played supporting roles. But there wouldn't have been a March on Washington without Dorothy Height. And she happens to be, she was a part of my sorority. And so it makes me feel honored to be able to do the work and uphold the work that she started, even if it's not in the same way that she did it, but in a way that is affirming to all youth, regardless of color, but acknowledging that race and ethnicity and gender and class and sex and sexual orientation impact the ways in which we live our lives and the people that we come in contact with or don't.
Thank you.
My pleasure.